Welcome to the Drivers Republic podcast, brought to you in association with Dundee Motors, Ireland's favourite car buying website. With the widest selection of cars from certified, trusted dealerships, most Irish drivers find their next car on Dundee. And Paddy, it is the last episode in the current season.
Yes, we are rounding up season 1 with episode 8, and we're going to take a break for just a few weeks, and then we'll be back with season 2 with some really, really good guests.
We kind of have to set the scene here because, bar we took a picture, people wouldn't believe. You can spend all the fancy money you like on podcast studios, but
the great outdoors, there's something to be said for the great outdoors, and we are enjoying what is obviously the unseasonably good weather in Ireland at the moment, and we are sitting in a very beautiful wood in a part of South County Dublin.
So there's zippet things in the trees. I've filmed a lot of car reviews here over the years, actually, as have Dundee as well. So it's a nice spot. Also, there's a pair of shoes to our left. Looks like lady shoes because they're pink. I don't know where the owner is, what happened.
The case of the missing shoes, the missing pink shoes. It could be a podcast, actually.
Yeah. I mean, you do find strange things filming in the mountains. That's not particularly strange, but you do wonder. They look relatively new. So coming up on this week's podcast, we will be talking to Gaspar Alcaide. Yes, that is how you say his name. Which is funny, but I mean, that's his name.
Yeah, the Irish boss of Cupra, who is a real live wire, really energetic guy, great personality, and we enjoyed an interesting sit down with him. Recorded a number of weeks ago, but we're bringing it to you this week.
When I first met Gaspar, it was at a reception, and he came up to me as a Spanish man and said, "Mark, my name is Gaspar." I said, "Yes, I know who you are." He said, and he was joking, but the wine had been served with screw tops. And he's like, "You do not give a Spanish man screw top wine." I was like, okay, noted for next year, Gaspar. Sorry. But yeah, he's good company and living in Ireland for the last number of years.
So why are we in this beautiful forest?
Well, we've just finished filming a twin test of the Hyundai Inster and the Dacia Spring. I feel like you have to say their names properly. So we've just filmed the two cars. Both really affordable options, both really affordable new cars on the market. They kind of offer two different things, don't they?
Yeah, they do. The Spring obviously is Ireland's cheapest new cars. If you want the very, very cheapest new car you can get, this is now it. An EV, 26.8 kilowatt hour battery, pretty low on range, about 200 kilometres on a full charge. Really a car to stay in the city with. Feels a bit light and tinny in some areas, but yeah, decent spec. The Inster though, Mark, is a different prospect.
Yeah, so you get 42 or 49 kilowatt hour battery. The entry price is 18,995 plus delivery, has to be said, or 21,900. It doesn't even make sense saying those prices when you look at the car, when you look at the finish of it, the charging speed, the range. It doesn't feel cheap.
No, it doesn't, and it's a very complete car. I feel like it's something that does really every job very well, and it doesn't disgrace itself on longer journeys. It's really well equipped. It's very spacious. I'm pretty tall, and I could sit in the back of it comfortably. Luggage space is okay as well if you slide those seats forward. So it's just a really complete package. The pricing we've talked about before. I know Hyundai have been incredibly aggressive with the pricing of this, and it shows.
And the higher spec version, which is the Elegance, I believe, you can fold every single seat, including the driver's seat, flat or forward flat. So you could sleep in it. Now, Dacia do camping packs in their cars, not for the Spring.
No, that would be tricky.
But it just does an awful lot of stuff for a car. If I was in the market and maybe the kids were older, I would just find it hard not to buy one of them.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, we've talked about me due to change the E up at some stage, and I know the Renault 5 is the front runner, but this one has to be in with a shout as well. So, it's such a good car.
That's a good point, actually, because you have lived with this size of car. What are the limitations?
Well, look, the limitations obviously are the longer journeys. For most of, 99% of the time I spend with my E up, it's driving a round trip of, say, 30 kilometres, 15 kilometres each way. And day to day, it's absolutely perfect. It's great handling, great chassis, good equipment. It's obviously when I do those longer trips, be it Cork to Dublin, which isn't that often in that car, that you just requires a bit more planning. it's a bit more of a pain in the ass, and it's not something you'd want to be doing more than once a week for sure.
Apart from those things,
It can be done. Of course, it can be done. It's a case of you need to stop, but you should be stopping probably on a journey like that anyway. I did it in the spring earlier in the week, and driving down, I left almost pretty much full. I had to stop in Manorstone for a full charge. Now I had to charge it right up to 100%, and I just about made it home. And then wouldn't have been able to go much further, but it was an hour stopped, and you can have your food and whatever else. Whereas in the Inster, in theory, full battery, I could probably do the same journey without stopping. But then, is that necessarily a responsible thing to do? Charging speed is a big issue in the Spring. It only charges at 30 kilowatts on DC charging, which is very slow, and that means that even those longer journeys, even if you do have access to fast chargers, you're just not getting the full charge from it.
now a lot of cars, the charging curve is never really what the max speed is. Did the Spring do the 30?
No, but it does about 26, 27.
Right.
So it doesn't really deviate lower than that. It's one thing I will say to it. On that point where lots of cars really, really slow down to a trickle at sort of 80, 90%, it's still going. So you are able to just keep it charging steadily at that. But like, I had it twice on Ionity today, which is just absolutely ridiculous.
Seems like a waste, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's just overkill. This massive charger, and there's only 24 or 5 kilowatts going into it.
And do you feel like you're holding people up?
On the motorway, yes. I didn't driving it anyway over 95, 100 kilometres per hour didn't feel the best, and I was annoying a few trucks and buses. But although I don't know what way limitations work in Ireland, because I would have thought that they're supposed to be limited to 90.
Yeah.
But it certainly doesn't need to be the case in some areas. You do, and you've had the same experience, I think, with the Spring, of feeling like you're being a little bit bullied off the road.
Yeah, and it is weird that people are judgmental of smaller cars, but they are. And not if we're driving all sizes of cars all the time, and people really are. It's probably more. It's probably more of a male thing. I don't want to say there wasn't also women tailgating me in the Spring, because there was.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I like a small car, and that's the reason I bought one. I just like I like that size of a vehicle. I don't want something that's way more than I need, and most of the time I'm driving on my own. So, obviously the likes of the Renault 5 is another one that we need to jump into the mix, because while it's more expensive than both of these cars, it's going to be a huge appeal for people who want the looks of it. But this Inster is something else. It really is.
I really think it is. I really think it is, and I'd imagine it's going to be a car that, if not already, is quickly getting. Oh, I won't have one of them for you for 3 months, 6 months.
Yeah, I believe so. I believe it's a case of Hyundai would take more if they could get them. They'd sell whatever they can get, and with good reason. But look, if they must have known that's coming, if they were going to price it that aggressively.
Yeah.
Because it is incredibly aggressively priced. It's a lot cheaper than it is in the UK, other markets. You would expect that they would expect to be busy with it.
Speaking of cars that make you feel certain things, I've been driving the Capri for the first half of this week. Okay. And look, I mean, the whole Capri thing has been done to death versus the original car and all that stuff. But I did, so for people that maybe don't know, I also work in Radio Nova, so I do a weekly show there, and sometimes you have to go in for meetings where they play you back what you say on the radio, and then they ask you, what did you think of that? It's really one of the most painful experiences you can imagine as a human. It's like your teacher going through your homework with you and asking you,
Is it a trick question, or is it just
It can be. Like, it's, and there's no one likes hearing themselves back, not even radio presenters.
It's like, do you think this was the right thing to say here?
So it's like, sometimes you get like, I would have finished there now. Why did you go on about the Super Bowl? You've just mentioned the rugby match or whatever. So anyway, I was leaving today, and the Capri which is yellow, was parked in the car park. And on Radio Nova are PJ and Jim, Morning Glory, really successful breakfast show. Jim McCabe has been in radio for years, and everyone knows PJ Gallagher. And PJ was on his bike, and Jim was getting into his Beamer. And I could overhear them as I was walking towards the Capri talking about it. And like, PJ's voice, or anyone who knows PJ when he's animated, he just has it's a really kind of what the. And I could hear him saying, like, what have they done? What have they? And so Jim gets out and he's like, how does that represent the original Capri? And I talked him through like the swoosh on the window, and PJ was just like, Capri, like, how is it? He goes, why didn't they call it something else? Like I said, if they call it like the Focus, no one would have cared. And he goes, yeah, or like Alan. I was like, it
But
was Alan.
I think he's hit on a point though. I mean, I'd love to give Ford the credit for marketing genius. I mean, if they'd called it the Maverick or the whatever else or something benign, it would just be another 2.2
Yeah,
ton
I
electric
know.
SUV that's not, taking it on its own. It's not that remarkable looking, and paint if it's painted in another color, it doesn't look that striking. A yellow car that's calling itself Capri is going to
Yeah.
trigger a lot of people, to use
And
the kids' words these days.
it really does use triggers with because it's so yellow. I mean, and you know what? I don't hate the look of it. I mean, I know if you just forget about the model name for a second, it does look pretty good in yellow. It looks really crisp and fresh and clean. But then it was just so interesting to see two guys who are in their definitely 50s, maybe late 40s. I don't know, lads. But anyway, you're both great. But they would obviously both remember the Capri, and they were just horrified. But to see two guys reacting live to it, and then they sat in, and Jim goes, "Size of that screen," because that's a huge mega box movable screen, and they just couldn't get it.
Yeah, but look, there's us talking about it again, and how many column inches and social media hits and
Yeah.
have they got because they called it Capri. But you pointed out something to me the other week as well, is that they keep using the old car in advertising.
Yeah. So I don't know if anyone else is getting targeted by the ads for it, but it does eventually turn into the new car. But they're like there's leaning into your heritage, and there's reminding everyone about the car they loved so much. And here's the car that is nothing like the original car.
Yeah, but any impressions of it so far this week?
Well, I've had to say to people, and the two boys are just one example. Like if people have stopped me on the street about it, and I've been saying to them, well, it's actually an ID4 underneath, and like, really, like how? And then there's no point trying to get into the alliance thing with people that have a passing interest in cars. They'll quickly eyelids will shut down. But yeah, like it's efficient. It's not the worst in terms of handling ish for
The
a
steering's very light though.
Steering is very light in it. It has a much better steering wheel than the new Puma. I've been driving that this week in Barcelona, and that steering wheel is the same wheel that's in a Transit.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I drove the Capri a few weeks back as well, and I found again likable in some ways, gets attention, but again, I'm not sure it would in other colours. For me, the Explorer is a better car. I just found that was a better package overall. But the pricing is good in Capri. It's good. It's a pretty good value for what it is. It's you're compared to some rivals, but I know when you compare it to something like an ID4, the ID4 is considerably cheaper.
Considerably cheaper. You don't have to explain to anybody that it's not a VW or not a Ford, whatever. Yeah, I looked last week just to see. So there's been 55 Capris registered in Ireland this year, and 27% of that are by private customers.
Right, that does tell its own story. I would
Yeah.
imagine, every dealer will have a dealer demo at least.
At least. Maybe two.
And some staff cars. So yeah, there's quite a bit of that. But look, it's another car in the mix. But it's also a car I just don't think we'd be talking about if it wasn't called Capri and it wasn't painted yellow.
No. But it's efficient. It sits somewhere in the nice road right now. It's now Thursday. It's got 80% range still. It's still got over 400 kilometres.
Yeah, weather conditions are pretty ideal this week. But so look, the Puma though, the Puma's been a big success for the brand. One of their few really of late, to be fair. And you've driven the electric version this week. How did you fare?
So they've sold over 100,000 Pumas, just normal Pumas, in the last 2 years in the UK. It has been the best selling car in the UK. And now they have an electric one that for UK audiences would be doing 220 miles, or for people over here, 300 and maybe just 300. And it's the version you want is like 35 grand. It has some clever stuff. It has the Gigabox boot. It's like a 100 kilo boot space area, and it has a drain hole in it. You can put football boots in it. You could wash a baby in it, no problem. So it has a clever, and it has a frunk, even though it's such a small car. So you get like 40 odd litres. So it actually does the space thing reasonably well. The problem is you now have the Dolphin. There's going to be the Atto 2. There's going to be ID1. There's Renault 5.
Is it not bigger than those cars though?
I think when you actually like, okay, yeah, the boot is bigger than Renault 5, absolutely. The rear space is bigger than Renault 5, absolutely.
I feel like it sits just in its almost own size, more Kona size, no?
Yeah, Kona maybe, yeah. But for a little bit more, you can have this ID3 GTX with 326 brake horsepower, not 168 brake horsepower.
We need to drive that car.
I know. I don't. VW, why are you hiding it? They just keep saying, "Oh, there's one on the way. There's one on the way." So is Christmas,
Yeah.
lads.
That's such a great package. It's one of those ones I feel like they made a mistake in the price and we should possibly
Yeah.
capitalise.
Or maybe they can't get enough of them, so they don't want people talking about it too much. I don't know what it is, but I know that will do faster charging. The Puma Gen-E will do 100 kilowatt. If it was 27 grand, if it had like a 10-year warranty, we were talking, and there's actually quite a senior lady in Ford who's from Cork, but she's based in the UK. So you always feel like you're able to level more with another Irish person. And we were just talking about the price and the warranty and where the market is in Ireland. And she was very interested in listening to it. Her name is Elaine. And we just said, like, first of all, you've turned away John and Mary, who've bought a Fiesta for years and years and years. They literally there's no car in your showrooms for them anymore. Well, but we have the Puma now. That's the smallest car we have. I'm like, yeah, but it's not the price the Fiesta was. If you're a retired couple, you're not going to jump 10 grand or more on the next car. So I just think, especially in the UK, those sales are based on, in some ways, a different car.
Yeah, you're right, and the Puma has been making huge numbers in the UK because of the price point, but that price point isn't the same here. And John and Mary are now in Yaris's, or they're in Yaris Cross, or they're in Insters, or they're in something else. So I think Ford might have missed a trick for some markets, including ours.
And it just seems weird with everyone rowing back on their electric plans, and we mean everybody. Could they not just go, guess what's back? You know, the tagline of the Capri is legends never die. Okay, bring back the Fiesta then.
Yeah, but you would have to look at the broader Ford picture in terms of Europe. There's been a lot of discussion that maybe they don't care about Europe so much anymore.
They just want to sell vans.
Sell vans and or focus on the American market. I mean, if you look at their Capri, look at the Explorer. Okay, they've gone to Volkswagen, cap in hand for a lot of the tech and that, rather than developing their own. It doesn't look like they want to develop any more ICE powertrains. So maybe
and the Puma is based on the 4 or 5 year old car. So,
yeah. So
why did it take so long?
So there isn't huge amount of developments. We're not seeing, we've lost cars like the Focus ST, Focus RS, Fiesta ST, cars which were part of Ford's real backbone heritage of racing. They're all gone.
So I know they announced job cuts across Europe last year. I think it was 800 in the UK. Are the R&D people just gone? Are they not needed anymore?
I don't know, but it just seems like Europe is a secondary market and maybe the focus is on other markets, judging by what we're seeing from them. Reserve judgment on the Puma for the E-Puma, what is it called, E-Puma or Puma?
Puma Gen-E.
Puma Gen-E.
So
okay.
it's like GEN-E, not like a girl's name, but you can see people calling it Gen-E.
Right, okay. But, look, does it do anything special? Does it stand out? Is there anything that would make you go, right, you need to look at this?
The way the brake pedal feels in it is amazing. It's one of the best electric car pedal feels I've driven. And to explain...
So there is some.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And VW Group are one of the worst offenders of this at the moment. There's so much regen. So basically the initial, I'd say nearly 50% of you pressing on a brake pedal these days in an EV is... you're not getting friction brakes, you're getting resistance from the motor. And you don't even really know what's happening. It just feels like the brakes are not working as sharply as they should. In the Puma, you just tap the brake and it feels exactly like a nice car. I was really impressed with that. The steering is actually not as light as the Capri. It's sluggish because it's only 168. It's about 1,500 and odd kilos. So it's not a massively heavy EV, but it's still heavy. And it's reasonably comfortable, a little bit firm over bumps and stuff, but you want the trade-off, I suppose, to be it handles reasonably well and not to be too soft. Yes, it's got clever use of space in the back. The entry one is 32. And weirdly, if you spec this yellow colour on the higher trim version, it's cheaper. the price of the car drops below 35 grand.
They just want more yellow cars around.
Yeah.
Because they're striking, and it almost serves as a bit of a mobile billboard if you
Yeah.
have these cars, because people are talking about them.
So they're giving you €800 off if you're happy to be an ad for Ford, basically.
A moving catalogue.
Or Stellantis give you the brighter colours for free. So I think it's a good place to have more small cars as EVs. Not that the Puma is tiny, but it just needs to be priced better.
But I think EVs and small cars are quite a nice marriage. We've obviously seen the bigger, heavier, lumpy SUV EVs coming first, but now we're in this chapter of smaller, compact EVs with appropriate size batteries, if you like, and because the fact that they're lighter, that lends itself to better range inherently. So I welcome it. I like to see this, and we're seeing that generation with the Inster, Renault 5. Puma now coming on stream as well. So I think it augurs well, it bodes well for what is to come.
So that is kind of a roundup of this week's news, where we've been, what we've been driving. I'm off to get the Audi A6 now, which I'm looking forward to driving. You've driven that?
I have. Great car. Really, really liked it. It's obviously not cheap, but it's one of those ones you'd really like to hang on to the keys in. I was pretty distraught handing that back. It just does everything right. Looks good range, good performance, nice equipment. But yeah, there was 20 odd grand of extras in the. You could have either one of these cars that we're looking at here for the options that were on it.
And it's a pity we're not going to be on next week, because I'll be driving the revised BMW M2 next week.
Yeah, well, we can hold that for season 2.
Yes, that's true. Right, stay with us, because we are chatting to the head of Cupra in Ireland after the break.
Welcome back to the Drivers Republic podcast, brought to you in association with Dundeel Motors, Ireland's favourite website for car buying, with more certified, trusted dealers than anyone else. You're sure to find the right car for you on dundeel.ie.
This time we're in the company of a very charismatic man from the south of Spain, who I have had the pleasure of his company many times over some press trips. You're not allowed to laugh at his surname, because it is Gaspar Alcaide. He is the brand director of Cupra Ireland. Gaspar, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much, and thank you for being here. And welcome back, Paddy.
Thank you very much. Lovely to be here.
Gaspar, what is a man from beautiful Spain doing in rainy old Ireland?
So this is a good question. I'm doing two things. The first thing I'm doing is I was sent here to launch Cupra. I'm responsible for Seat and Cupra in Ireland. And I came here 2.5 years ago, and I came with the mandate and the objective to develop Cupra and to launch properly and grow Cupra in the brand. This is in the country. This is the first thing I'm doing. The second thing I'm doing is I'm enjoying the island. I had some experience with Irish people, and I thought it was going to be interesting, but I didn't think it was going to be so cool, so enjoyable, so different, so friendly as it is. So this is the second thing I'm doing. I'm having a marvelous experience in this country with my family.
So it sounds like the second part is going very well. The first part you mentioned, launching Cupra, it has gone particularly well in Europe, but also in Ireland. But it's taking a while for people to know what Cupra is. I remember you explained some of your neighbours a few years ago, and now they get it. So is that representative of the Irish people, do you think?
So, yes, as a new brand, you come, and for us, this is our day and night. This is everything for us. But for regular customers, there is a huge offer of everything, not only cars. It's cars, it's shoes, it's everything there, and they don't have this awareness. When I arrived first to the country, when we started this journey with the team, it is true, our awareness was less than 50%. So you could ask one every second person, and they didn't know what it was. They were confusing Cupra with Cooper, Mini Cooper, or with other things. And it was our job to build this history and to bring the recognition of the brand in the country, which we are doing quite well. At the moment, we are at 80%. So 8 out of every 10 people know what it is when they see the brand, which is quite in the European standards. So to this point, something that we are delighted here in Ireland is that the speed that we take to get to this level was much faster than in the other European countries. We are now at the average European level, And we have done this in 4 years that we are present.
Take us back to tell us about your career. How did you start and how did you build up to get to where you are right now?
The first thing, and I think the most relevant for this podcast and for the people hearing to this podcast is, I am a car man. I'm a car enthusiast. I'm a motorhead. I love cars. I love bikes. I love everything that goes fast and with emotion. This said, I only work in the automotive industry for 14 years. My previous life has been always in commercial, always in sales, in different companies, in different areas, strategy, purely sales, different things. And 14 years ago, I was working in fast-moving consumer goods. I was selling cookies. And I got the opportunity to move to SEAT. Me, being from Barcelona, SEAT, being a brand with a huge heritage, which is some part of the city, was offered this possibility, and I said, it is now or never. I had to do a couple of compromises to be able to jump in, and I decided to do it. And since then, I have had 14 years of joy. I love what I do. I love the product. I love the industry. And within SEAT, I started in after sales. In after sales, that was one of the compromises. I was responsible for training, so which for me was a different world. And I did this for a while, but after a while, I went to my regular area, which was sales. I started in fleet for whole Europe. Then I was in charge of markets. I started with overseas, Turkey, Algeria, Israel. Then I moved to Northern Europe, Scandinavia. And then I made the move to come to take care of UK, Ireland, and the Netherlands. It was 2 years. I had the opportunity to get to know Ireland, to get to know the network, to get to know the market. And I was offered the possibility to come to Ireland, which took me 1.2 seconds to say, yes, I want. And since then, here I am, 2.5 years now.
So at this level, you're in charge of the brand. You've got a team working outside your office. You obviously report into Germany, to the Volkswagen Group brand as well. Yet you strike us as a guy who's hardworking, but also has a good balance in his life. And you talk about your family at Cupra events, and you're an outdoorsy kind of guy. So how do you make it all work?
The key for me there is just outside of this desk. It's the guys, the people that are outside. We managed to build a team of very, very strong people. Really, it's a small team within the building, but they are challengers. There are guys and ladies which are proud of the brand, which are convinced of what they are doing, and which are passionate on what they are doing. They are also technically very good. When you have your back backed by something like this, you can really rely on them. You can work together with them, and you know you are doing the best that you can do, and you're taking the best decisions and doing the best things. And this gives you the confidence to face the difficulties, because challenges that are enormous, as you can imagine, stress, there is a lot, but with the right team, with the right decisions, a lot of support from the headquarters as well, because the history that we are building here, it's a very positive one, and we are putting Ireland in the map in the headquarters of SEAT and Cupra. This gives you a lot of support. The second, and for me is key, is when I go outside of the building. When I came to Ireland, I decided, together with my family, to come with them there. I have a wife, an Austrian wife, and 2 children, 16 and 18, which are enjoying here. And this is key. Sometimes you go out and the 30 minutes from here to home with the car, you are really, when you arrive there, you have the support, you have the quietness, you know that you have the joy of the family. This is key to make the thing work. And this is these are the 2 pillars in which I rely to be able to handle all this stuff.
And gardening in the back garden.
And gardening. Yes, and this is the other thing. I come from Barcelona. in Barcelona, 90% of the people live in flats, in apartments. And here people live in houses. So it's a luxury. So I'm enjoying my garden and I hear to your podcast when I am doing my gardening.
Actually, this is not a property podcast by any means, but if for people who haven't been to Barcelona, it is in contrast to Dublin, which Dublin is like a saucer. We don't have high rise. Do you look around sometimes and go, why can't the Irish people get the whole housing, tall housing, sorted?
I see it from another perspective, Mark. I think you are one of the last cities in the world advanced, developed, where you can have the luxury of living as you are living. So there are certain areas that need to be built, and they need to be built in the heights. But the quality of life, the people having their houses, having their little gardens, their little things, it's a dream for anyone living in a flat. So as long as you can keep it.
I think a lot of people initially would have had some skepticism about whether Cupra would succeed or not at the very outset. But both in the wider group and in Ireland, there's been really impressive growth. So how would you split the mix between good product and excellent marketing?
This is a very good question, Paddy, that I like and that I like to answer, because I have thought many times about this when we were explaining why. So sometimes you do the best, but why things work. And I think it's the 2 points that you have mentioned are very relevant, but we have different levers. The first lever, I have mentioned it before, is the team. You need to have a team of believers, a little bit crazy, that go for it, that believe, and that really have the trust and the hope that the thing is going to happen. Number one. The second one is the network. In the automotive industry, you need a very strong network of guys that are, as the word networks mean, together with you in a network. So we have a fantastic network of 16 investors all around the country with pristine facilities. When a customer enters one of our showrooms, he or she can understand what Cupra stands for. And this is due to the dedication and the big investment of our investors in this. The showrooms say a lot about what the brand stands for. We are a brand for challengers. We are a brand for not for everybody. It polarizes. It's about lifestyle. It's about this coolness around the cars. A lot of design that you can breathe in the cars and you can also see in the showrooms. So the second is the showrooms. The third one is the marketing side, the history. There are a lot of products and there are a lot of things there. But today you need to have a history behind. You need to explain something. And this is what we are doing with Mark, with our marketing team. We are extremely strong in music. We are supporting the Beyond the Pale Festival. We are making a DJ contest here in Ireland with over 300 participants. Last year, we are repeating it this year. We have been very strong in gaming, which are the only brand doing this. We are very strong in paddle. We are the main sponsors of the Irish Paddle Federation. We are making a paddle tournament in Ireland. So we are very heavy in this. And our investment in marketing, in media, is enormous. With your support, guys, we are building the history. And you need to build this. You need to have these levers developed to really get the most of the product. And now, with the product launches that we had, the new Leon, the new Formentor, the Terramar, the Tabascan, and the renewed Born and so on, we have the right products there to be able to go to the next step, which is our aim at this moment.
The models sound so much better when you say them. Terramar. It's just... And I've said this before. It was like as if it was planned. Last Friday, I drove by a secondary school in the new Tabascan, and all the sort of 16, 15-year-old boys were like, oh, look, you can see them looking at the cars. So there's definitely a connection there. Whether they are Cupra customers in their 20s or they'll be able to, maybe they'll have a used model. I don't know. But there is definitely, you can see all of that underground marketing, if that's the right terminology, to definitely connect with that audience. You've mentioned it once or twice, so you've made our job kind of easy. It's probably a short answer at this stage, which is probably a good thing. The SEAT question of the future of SEAT. What is the future of SEAT?
If you allow me before, one comment on what you have said about
Yes.
the young people. We are connecting with the young people, because Cupra, it's a young spirited brand. Who's going to buy our cars? Our cars are going to be bought by young people, and also but people in bigger ages, in older ages. But those are people that feel young, that are young spirited. And this is what the brand brings. This design, this freshness, this a little bit different brings it. My son was telling me, you are hitting it, Papa, because there are few brands where I would put a t-shirt and I go with a Cupra t-shirt to the gym and the guys are telling me, this is cool. And this is all about it. You need to be cool. You need to bring something, and this is what we are doing. This on terms of Cupra. But then, of course, you say, and what about Seat? So, Seat, for both Seat SA and for the group, for the Volkswagen Group, is extremely important. Seat has a broad audience, between 1.5% and 2% market share of very loyal customers. They are Seat customers, and they want Seat cars. And they come back and they buy a Seat again. So we have people getting their third or fourth Arona because they love it. We have young people entering in the automotion with Ibizas that they love it. And we have our Ateca or our Leon customers, which are very loyal. For these customers, we have to offer this product, which we are offering, and we will continue offering. We are renewing the Ibiza, we are renewing the Arona, we are working to renew and to innovate in our powertrains, in the engines that we are having in the cars, which is something very important, and we are going to continue offering Seat cars for our Seat customers. Because the combination of the two brands is something very clear. Cupra and Seat are two completely different things. And the two of them complement a portfolio which is suitable for many customers and very convenient for our dealers who can offer a very broad offer of different products.
And I presume because of the VW Group part of the company, it's easier to do that, to have multiple brands on between Seat and Cupra, for example?
Yeah, I mean, the group is something which is of capital importance for us because it allows us to do this. Yeah. Because the technology is there. We are backed by the technology of the group, and we can build the different brands with the different qualities, with the different designs, with the different approaches, and this is something that we can offer. Otherwise, it would be completely impossible. But if you look within the group, the positioning of the brands is completely different and makes sense within the other brands of the group as well.
On that very note, so Cupra was born to be a high-performance, petrol-orientated brand, and obviously that will change with time. But due to our emissions-based tax in Ireland, Cupra is probably more of an electric, or will be more of an electric brand. For the people who are big into cars listening, can you tell us, first of all, are there countries who are even stricter on emissions than we are, so we still get maybe the odd 300 brake horsepower Cupra? And, you know, how hard is it to still be a Cupra in an electric-dominated market?
Before to your point, this is a very good point, because in Cupra, internationally, we are talking about 7 years, 7 cars, 7 different models. In Ireland, we talk about 4 years, 7 different models. We arrived much later than Cupra was born. Cupra was born as in the ADN of Cupra is the performance and the engine and the power engines, the very powerful engines and the thing. And in Ireland, this was easily not possible. I'm going to give you an example, and the people hearing to your podcast are going to love it. If we take a combustion car and the same one in high performance, so 150 PS and 330 PS. The difference of price in Ireland is 33,000 euros. The difference of price in Germany is 13,000 euros. More interesting than that is in Germany, out of these 13,000 euros, 8,000 are taxes. And the rest is in the more value of the car, etc. In Ireland, guess what? 35,000. So the car is 33,000 euros more expensive, but the taxes in the car is 35,000. So it's all taxes, and still needs to be taken something from there in order to catch up. For this reason, was impossible to launch it here. But performance is in our ADN, and performance is more than the pure power of the engine. So there are two relevant things there. The first thing is you can, in performance, you have a lot of horsepower, but you also have the handling of the car, the driving, the feeling of the car. Our cars, all of them, breathe this performance design, performance feeling, this body behavior, and so on, being reasonable in their horsepower and in the CO2 taxation. But then technology allowed us to develop two lines of work. One is PHEV. In PHEV, you get a Leon, Cupra Leon, a Cupra Formentor, or a Terramar with 272 PS, 0 to 100 in 6 seconds, and really a feeling of power. And you get the rationale of the PHEV, very low CO2. You can drive these cars basically electric because you do over 100 kilometers, real kilometers of usage electric. And then you have the tank. So I'm using one, and I like to talk about examples. I go to tank every 1,500 to 1,800 kilometers. Wow. And all the rest, I'm driving electric. And when you kick down, the thing is really powerful. So this is one of the performance. Our performance cars are called BZ. This stands for veloz, which is fast. So we have the PHEVs, BZ, and then in electric, we have realized and we are developing an electrifying performance. So if you get the Born, 340 PS, and it's a car that the ASP is as busy as nowhere else. It's
lively.
Yeah, and you tried the car and you tested it. It is extremely sporty. It's a hot hatch. Yeah, and the same we are doing with the Tabascan. So it's compatible with the new technologies. It's compatible in a market as Ireland to have really sporty and performance car with a reasonable taxation.
Tell us a little bit about your love of cars and your love of travel. I mean, obviously, people who listen to this podcast will be petrol heads. They'll have petrol going through their veins for sure.
Gaspar was looking at the seal on the sunroof of my car outside. He was like, I'd probably get that checked if I was you.
So talk us through, I mean, obviously, look, you're going to be a guy who loves Seat and Cupra, but are there other models within the group? Are there other even brands, classic cars that you love, that you've grew up liking? You know, what created that love of cars?
So as I have said before, I have always been mad about cars, and I always loved all kind of powerful cars. I love old-timers, I love old cars. So I have two preferred cars, two answers to your question. The first one is every father loves his children. So for me now, the Tabascan, I have been driving the Tabascan, and it's a car that from design, from equipment, from what it offers, it's a different thing, and it's the best car I've driven in long time, and I love it. This is from what we have today, and this is one of our cars, the Cupra Tabascan. I always loved cars since I was a child, and my icon, this is not a car, it's a piece of art. My icon, it's a Porsche 911 Targa 1990.
Nice.
It's a perfect, beautiful work of art. And maybe, Mark, you can tell me more about it.
No, you probably know more than I certainly can't afford one. My big regret was maybe 15 years ago you could buy a 993 for maybe 13,000 sterling plus VRT, but that's not maybe 20,000 euro at the time. Now, 90, 100,000.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping mine does the same in 10 years when it goes classic, but I don't know if it will.
Total sidebar, but I remember there was a dealership in Ashburn in County Meath that had two E30 M3s, and they were both 15,950 euro. And I thought it was too expensive.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what, that's a 110 a nice one now.
Yeah, yeah. It's just crazy. The old timers have always been an investment and something to have fun with, maybe. But I think more than ever now, with so much uncertainty over fuel types in the future, maybe we'll have synthetic fuels. Maybe we won't. Maybe we'll have more electrification. Maybe we won't. Who knows? But I think people will probably hold on to something special that has a petrol engine in it now more than ever.
Absolutely. And of course, in the case of this car, as you have mentioned, that was a bet. And I also, by the way, cannot afford one. I would love to. But those cars are more than a car. Those cars are icons.
Yeah.
And in this life, and as you say, as things are moving so fast and going forward, you need to stick to the icons because they are and they will stay there.
Gaspar, one last question for anybody who's listening to this podcast and maybe is a marketing student or other areas that would kind of fall under the automotive umbrella. It strikes the people, young people want to work in Skoda here because they have lots of fun, and people want to work in Cupra here because they have lots of fun. And talking to Caroline, one of your team, she mentioned the work experience people in Liffey Valley. Now, Cupra is the number one choice, so that must be music to your ears. But why should someone come and work with you guys?
The fact of the young people choosing the brand, this is true, and we are seeing it, and it's a good sign of what we are doing outside. Why people should come here? Because we believe in what we are doing, because we are writing something, because we are, from very small, we are building something, and this is what we are building. Each of the members of the team, they're outside, is theirs, and they are building something which is own. So in some time, they will be able to look back and to say, I did this. So it's not a flat history. It's a history of growth, of building. Of course, this is more difficult. Sometimes it's very dry. Sometimes there are big disappointments. But this is part of the game. This sporty, this passion, and we are trying to live, all of us, this passion to transmit. I'm very passionate. I transmit this to the team. The team are as well, and it's a great thing. It could sound like the typical thing that you say, but it's like a family. We are a very strong team fighting for something.
A tribe is the word, I believe.
Exactly.
Cupra,
We are a tribe.
We are a tribe. That's a good answer to finish on today's special guest. Gaspar, thank you very much for talking to us.
Thank you very much, Mark. Thank you very much, Paddy. Thank you to you.
Well, Paddy, I didn't really think Gaspar was going to disappoint anyway, but he didn't.
No, what a great ball of energy, and really, a real car guy. You could get that sense off him, and you can see why Cupra is doing well, both domestically and internationally, if they have people like that running the show. Yeah,
Very
absolutely. That's, I would imagine, working for him or with him would be great, but yeah, you'd be kept on your toes for sure.
Yes, there might be fire. There might be fire. Right, well, look, before we go, we obviously want to thank our sponsors. The Driver Republic podcast has been brought to you in association with Dundee Motors, with Ireland's widest selection of cars for sale from certified trusted dealers. The right car for you is on donedeal.ie. So they've been great supporting us.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys, because it does help make this thing worthwhile, and allows us to get the guests we have and to keep the show on the road. So we really appreciate that, and we thank all of you guys for listening as well. And we would encourage you, please, to hit subscribe on wherever you get your podcasts, because that does help us as well. It helps us grow, and we hope to be back in a few weeks, bigger and better. So make sure you put your notifications on so you can know when we are back.
We're not kind of begging kind of guys, so we've probably never said leave us a review and like the thing on Spotify, because you can do all those things. We just don't want to.
No, but it is one of those things that does help the show, and if you can spare that couple of minutes to do that, it would really help.
Now, on season 2, when we come back, we will be talking to a very interesting lady entrepreneur in the Irish motoring scene, who gets lots of headlines, gets lots of opportunities to talk to the media about her side of the business. I think everyone will know who we're talking about.
Yeah, Nadia Adan, a really clever woman, a really clever businesswoman, an expert marketeer. Courts controversy where required, doesn't suffer fools, and I think has been an interesting addition to the motoring scene in Ireland. I'm really curious to get her story, but I'm also curious to learn, how she got to where she is. She's obviously very wise, and see if her views are really her views.
Yes, I think like I've met Nadia in person now at a semi conference I was doing that she was speaking at, and she's a very warm person. She grew up in Fir House in Dublin. Her mum took on every job she could to make sure she got a really good education. So I think there's kind of more strings to her bow than people see on the TikTok girl.
Yeah, for sure, and I think it'd be nice to find those out, and that's it's someone who won't be put off by the odd negative comment, and is well able to stand up for herself.
Yeah, so just one of the guests we will have on next season's episode. And this is a good opportunity as well to remind you that Drivers Republic Podcast at gmail.com is our email address if you want to send us over a question or two. Maybe it's about a car ownership decision, I don't know, a second-hand car ownership decision, which 7-seater should you buy that you don't have a huge budget for, whatever it is. We're there for
We
it.
know a bit at this stage.
Yeah. All right, so we'll see you soon, and thanks as always for listening.